What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Sayless podcast. Another episode, man. Excited for this one. But before we start, though, cue that track. Let's go.
All day.
Long music.
Yeah, David Rhythm. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Shawty looking too good. Show up. And I don't wanna waste your time. Baby girl, will you be mine? You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute. Hold up. Shawty looking too good. Show up.
What's up, everyone? Nisa Bolovi Nakatalo for Lava. And hey, malo lele. To all our viewers out there, welcome to another episode of Sayless podcast. It's also Sefa. It's my toko atu, and it's a privilege to have this gentleman. Looking forward to this episode, ladies and gentlemen. 275, straight out of South Auckland, Saia. Folau, let's go. Sup, Toko, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Toko. I'm very good. How are you guys?
Good, bro. I know this one's gonna be a good one. You got your headphones locked in. You got your mic.
Yeah.
Man, it's gonna be a good one. How's it been these days, bro? What you been up to?
It's been good, man. Bro, just coming out of 2021, sort of massive year. Sort of family in there, got a new baby girl.
Congrats.
April. Thank you. Bro, just as well as trying to survive through lockdown. And all our sort of traffic light system and all that stuff, bro.
Yeah.
All the gigs. I mean, there's a period in that where we weren't playing, maybe like 4 months and stuff. And then coming out, getting a handful before the sort of summer, and that wrapped up. And then with our announcement just last week, bro, that was pretty much the summer for everybody, man. So, but good otherwise, man. Just family, work, little side projects in that here and there.
Yeah.
But good, just sort of keeping busy, man.
What was it like? After that 4-month break, getting back into things with the crew.
Bro, I'll tell you, we had a gig out in Otara.
Yeah.
Shout out to the dudes at South Seas for putting
yes,
that on
sir.
for us. Bro, Rusty.
Mm.
In the first initial welcome back in.
Oh yeah.
But it was good, man. It was good just to be back. I think for myself personally too. Bro, going from sort of gigging almost every week, the vocal rest during lockdown was dope, bro.
Yeah.
Just to sort of go back and obviously just little refreshers in that for the first gig back. But bro, it was mean, man. It was mean. I loved it.
Hey, I saw, and we're gonna unpack this later on, for our episode. But I saw you guys went to Dubai, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Bro.
So that was mean.
How was that?
It was everything we sort of dream of, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we see all these stuff like the stuff in there online.
Yeah.
As well as sort of just growing up, and like, bro, me and my kids in there, when they found out we're going to Dubai, they're buzzing out on the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building.
Yeah.
These malls and that with like aquariums, ice skating rinks, waterfalls, and all that stuff that's like buzzing to us, man. On my first trip to Disneyland. My first trip to Disneyland was when I was 25, and bro, I'm not like,
nah, good on you, bro. Good on you, docs.
And when we go to places like that, you get overwhelmed because you only see it on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this Dubai trip for us was like that. I think for me too, docs, the company I went with was me. Like, shout out to the backline.
Yes, sir. Nafuta Folau, you beast.
Hell yeah. To the backline, to Nafu, to Doulos, to Simi, Pio, Eugene, and to Solo, as well as my sisters on the front line.
Yes.
With Irene and Val. It was mean, man. The opportunities. Also big ups to Sammy J for having us.
Yes, sir.
Bill too, man. Bro, privileged, especially and honored to have such an opportunity during this pandemic. With like, I was telling these guys, man, like, I felt bad too that I knew that there were people out overseas who were trying to get home.
Yeah.
And because of us going on this trip and that we had it, my queue sort of sorted.
Yeah.
Like, we went there, did our thing, and came back. Like, it was just sort of norm, bro.
Yeah.
But it was mean, man, especially to be on that side of the world. and to connect with other polys and that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
When
sir.
we're out there waving flags,
Yeah.
bro. We're out there freaking Samoan Tonga for life, and then these guys. I was telling my wife, I took a Tongan flag. She was like, aren't you going for New Zealand? I was like, bro, these guys are riding on us. They've been riding on us
hard,
for ages,
bro.
Just let me go have my moment.
It's the islanders there, toko.
Shana, there's heaps, man. There's there's quite a big poly community there.
Yeah.
And if not in Dubai, the majority of them are out in Abu Dhabi.
It's
Abu Dhabi is like so it's like the distance of Hamilton to Auckland.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Auckland's Dubai, then Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
It's like an hour and a bit away. But heaps of like teachers,
Oh,
a lot
nice.
of college
Yeah,
teachers
bro.
in there who sort of come over. I know some of them started on like the casual 2-year contracts, but have been sort of extended in that to be there for ages, man. As well as the sort of athletes, some athletes and that, some PTs and that out there too, bro. So it was good. It sort of sucked that we sort of got to meet the majority of them on the last night that we were, and a lot of them were like, bro, let's take you guys out when you guys leaving. We're like, bro, we're leaving the first flight tomorrow morning. Like we perform. We're sort of, I mean, we could have did like 1 or 2 more days.
Yeah.
I think it was just the way that our flights sort of happened and all that stuff. But buzzing, buzzing to see people like us on that side of the world, bro. And I know some people sort of have like little families and that over there as well. But like I said, man, grateful to have that opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Especially with the people and that I went off to go and throw it down for our homelands, bro. So it was mean, bro.
How about that, man? 275 to Dubai.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
To the world, bro.
Yeah, to the world. Well, bro, let's dig into more of your journey,
man.
Yeah.
Folau, man. Young Tongan boy growing up in South Auckland. Growing up in a Tongan family, a beautiful family. How was that like, bro? Like growing up with obviously your siblings, mum and dad. Like, what was that like for you? And also growing up in that Tongan church as well, bro.
Yeah, I think for us, I'm glad that we grew up in an environment as such. For us, it builds character.
Yeah, bro.
We sort of hold on to culture and tradition in that as well. I'm the middle child of 5 siblings. I got an older sister, older brother, then myself, and then my 2 younger siblings, my younger brother, my younger sister. Having the upbringing and that we did, it was good. I didn't think anything sort of less of it. I didn't choose to question it. And I guess sort of being at the age that I am now, I sort of look back and sort of grateful for everything that we had and everything that we went through and that as such. Growing up in our traditional Tongan churches, you see the values in that our people hold.
Yeah, 100.
You see the morals in that they have too. Unfortunately for myself, especially like at a young age, I didn't. I guess I wasn't really hard out into that stuff.
Yeah.
Only because language was kind of a barrier for me.
Yep.
Especially being first generation born, and I knew my parents in that did all they can to raise us, and the language that in the household. And sort of going to church, it was almost like we sort of dressed up to stay in the car. To be honest, and a lot of the malangas and that, and all the preachings were all in Tongan. And we sort of didn't really understand it, and so that sort of put us off for a bit. But I think I look back at it now, and I'm grateful that stuff had happened, because I guess it molded character, early character for me, and just I guess built a sense and identity, because that's where we learned all our values and all everything that happens traditionally for us, whether it be sort of funerals, weddings, massive gatherings, and that that's where we learned it. Or for me, it was in the church. My maternal granddad was a choir master. That's where we learned all our music stuff, man. And awesome. I know, like probably any other sort of Tongan musos and that, their roots started in the church, bro. I guess for me at that time too, like reading traditional Tongan music was a bit hard out for me.
It's pretty full on.
Bro, absolutely. And I guess you just played everything by ear, man. Like you just sung, and where it went naturally, you just sung it there. And then as well as all the sort of fake covers and that before church and after church.
Yeah,
I knew my dad was a sort of big fan of, but just to hear the men and that chop it up,
yeah,
especially on a Sunday was mean.
Yeah,
You know, there were a couple of times in that we'd go and sort of check it out, but the rest of the time was just trying to hang out with all the other kids, and to
yeah,
see who the fastest was at their school, or who the toughest was at their school. That's always the conversation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it was me and Toko. I guess real grateful and fortunate to grow up with both my parents.
Yeah.
At a time too, my dad was teaching over in Tonga.
Yep.
He was teaching at Tupou College. He was a teacher in automotive engineering, and my mum was a teacher here. So there was a time in our lives, especially obviously my dad wasn't here. Like my parents are still together, but my dad wasn't here, and my mum was playing sort of both roles at home. And that for me in my adolescent life was like life lesson hard out, bro. Like we saw, like, bro, quite the lowest of lows in terms of like living situation and stuff. But you know that, like I said, those are those situations and that they build character hard out of it. Like,
100%,
bro, like, yeah, not to the point, but I mean, like, bro, there were nights in that we, you know, like we don't have dinner and it's all good. Like we just wake up and all good, like loaf of bread and milk's all you need. You know what I mean? But then you sort of like you look back at that now and you're like, man, like I never want to be back at that point.
Yeah.
And you know that's one of the, I guess, motivations in that of why we do what we do now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And this is for me is like the give back. You know, when you grow up, that's the come up, and then you see obviously your parents and that get older and stuff. Now this is the give back. So from here until when that day comes, it's the give back, man. So
I like how you and I like how you touched on how character was built in two different sceneries, right? Within the church and within their home as well. And I think that's one good thing that that Islanders or Polynesians are blessed with, right? It's to be building your character at home and also building it in another era, with maybe church or school and whatnot. So I totally believe that, bro. And I remember growing up also, bro, being a young one. And I remember you guys at church, bro, like you're always someone that we always looked up to in a way where with music and whatnot, because you know you went obviously your mom was a big influencer in that area as well, bro. So
hey, don't forget your dad. Your dad's an OG. No, he is. I remember there was one updanger we went to, and we were over at our headquarters when our headquarters was up here in Greyland and that for a bit. And bro, your old man was leading the choir, and bro, I used to ask my mom and dad about your dad hard up, bro. Like you go to the many questions and that you know that I asked in terms of like, oh, we related to this man. You know when dudes and that do mean, and then you want to be related to them, and then you confirm that was me, dude. That was me. But I asked my mom, and I was like, man, you know, Feleti, are we related to him? They're like, oh yeah. Well, we're related through Atu's mom's side. Atu's mom's side, that newer side of the family. But it was like it was dudes like that we looked up to. And I guess at our church too, Toko, when Tau and Vita and them were there, you know, the boys from Specifics, those were guys that we looked up to growing up, man.
Bro.
You know, that it, in a sense where it wasn't necessarily the music at church, but it was outside the church, and that we followed the boys in there quite a bit.
100.
But I knew at that time, would it be maybe early 2000s, that there were quite a lot of talented guys in our churches.
100%, bro. 100%.
Not only from our churches and your church, those LMC out west and that, but all over the show with us, man. And it was when we sort of got together either during conferences or church camps that those talents and that would come out.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
You know, it was mean, man. Like our youth at the time was really rich in the music, and it's evident now that you see these dudes in that sort of afterwards.
100%, bro. 100%.
It's mean.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Was it always music, bro, growing up? Was it always music for you? Like, was there any other, I guess, any dream or any goal that you wanted to pursue once you finished school, bro, or was it always music?
Yeah, yeah. I guess for me that was it, man. I didn't really have anything else sort of growing up. It had to do with the arts. It was either sort of performing arts or visual arts.
Yeah.
And I sort of got to the point in high school when I was 7th form where I dropped two main maths classes to pick digital art and music because they clashed. And instead of going for stats and calc, I opted to do music and digital art. I think at a young age, like I knew I could sing, and to perform was something different. But I guess as you sort of grow up traditionally, and that our parents have a mindset that there's no money in that stuff, man.
Yeah, 100.
And some of it's evident now, bro. You know, like our parents that want us to go do these big ass corporate jobs. And no disrespect to the corporate job dudes, like, bro, if that stuff's for you, man, by all means go out and get your money. But it was always that for me, man. And I think, and I knew my parents in that were hesitant about it, bro. Like it got to the point where I think my turnaround, or one of my turnaround points in that, was telling my mum that I had a gig on New Year's Eve. Because usually we go to church and that on New Year's Eve, and we do the midnight sort of services and stuff. And it started about like 10 or 9 o'clock or something. There's all these like numbers of malangas and that. But when I told my mum, I was like, oh, I can't come to church because I got to go and do these gigs. Like I've got a gig. And I think for my mum, I think more my mum, but I think for her to be really supportive of what I did was mean, man.
Yeah, bro.
And she knew what I was capable of. And even heading out of schoe, like I was gigging quite a bit, bro. Like I don't mean to sound but
go hard.
I only say this to paint a picture, but bro, I'd be gigging, like there were only like little gigs, but I'd gig like maybe 3 days a week. Like I play a dinner service on a Thursday night, and then I played Switch Shop on a Friday, and then on a Saturday there'd be like a corporate or a wedding or something. And like it was at a point where it was like, bro, I wouldn't do anything during the day. Like I'd go and drop all my siblings off to school, my parents or my mum and that to work. I'd come home and I'd sleep, man, and then I'd wake up to pick them up, and then my day would sort of start. You know, I'd be hanging around with like shout out to my boy Saia with Saia and the boys from Loose Change. Was my first unit in that growing up. I would go to like band practices and do all the gigs and stuff. And then, you know, like I was saying, like I guess I'm really fortunate that my parents were real supportive of what I did. And I guess the game changer for me was when I told my mom I was going to uni to study music.
Yes, sir.
And I think that set it in concrete for me and for her. That I wasn't like, I think the goal for me was always to teach music. My music journey was always in the classroom. And I say that because I always get sort of asked, like, you know, why didn't you write your own music? Like, why didn't you become an artist? And I tell these dudes like all the time, man. I was like, because there are dudes in that out there who are doing it already. And you know, I'd rather contribute to their craft than just another person who's adding on to, I guess, that unspoken competition. Do you know what I mean? Like I've worked with some of the biggest names in our poly reggae genre. Like, but man, I've learned so much from them that if and when I get the chance, like to write my own stuff properly, like I know that I'd have bits and pieces from all of these dudes.
Yes, sir.
But for me, I knew the classroom was for me because that was my give back. Not only to my art, but to my community, man. Like I wanted, and where I am currently teaching was always the goal. You know, to go back to Mangere College and give as much as I can to the school that gave me heaps, man.
Yes, sir.
That was where I was musically, Shana. Like that was.
But
I think, the outside of that, like that was only sold to me, man, when I was 7th form, bro. Like to teach music was financial security, flexibility to gig and all that stuff, you know. And the stage stuff was cool. Like I love jamming with the boys, man. Don't get me wrong. But my heart was always sitting in the classroom, bro. My heart was always in the classroom musically, man. And that's where it took me, or that was my dream musically.
I feel like Saia's pulling like a Thanos move, bro. He's collecting all the gems, bro. And one time when he releases that, he's gonna snap, G. Straight up, bro.
When that is,
when that, I don't know when that is, but I know I'm gonna be here to witness that, bro. And it's gonna be fire, bro. Now, so like you mentioned, bro. So you went to Mangere College, yeah?
Yep.
How was that, bro? Like, how was that?
Was
like, was it? Because I know, like back in Kelston, you always have a group that's singing.
Yo.
Like there's a group of guys rather than like using the bathroom, you know, the acoustic in the bathroom, you can hear them every lunchtime, morning tea. Was that, did you have that group in school too?
Oh, nah, that was
I think it was just Kelston. Oh, no, I'll keep it down.
I think for me at the time when I was at school too, singing groups were mean.
Yeah.
You know, like to have these little either a cappella groups or little barbershop groups that like and that's like what? Yeah, early 2000s. I was early 2000s. Like singing groups were mean at that time, man. And growing up at school, like, bro, I sung before the rugby players because that's what the lead singers were. There was bro, one of the locks that played first 15. His name was Naroni Malama. Bro, he was our basie. Shana, he was solid. He was mean. And then the rest of the boys in that we sung with was also from there. Belgium, Tuatongaloa.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Played for the money.
We used to sing with him in that. Honestly, God. But he was mean. Like these were the dudes in that, but like they sung for the love of it, eh?
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
I knew it wasn't like obviously like a serious thing in that for them, but they just loved it, bro.
Yeah.
Like all our poly people, when they get into a jam, they sing with their hearts, even though
Sir.
they're not in tune, bro. But they still do it. Like that. I think musically there was a music culture at school at the time.
Yeah,
and it was mean. Like, I think growing up, like even beforehand and into media, I was involved in these like musicals.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where sort of tapped in to my performance skills and all that, and then sort of taking it into high school. Yeah, music was always my hub, bro. Like I wasn't good at the rugby stuff. I ain't going to the trials and you see all these other dudes bigger than you, just walk home, bro.
What's it called? You mentioned something, having the courage to talk to your mom, about their New Year's gig.
Yeah.
And then that must have been something big, there must have been something that you had to kind of talk yourself into doing, because
absolutely.
It's out of respect for your mom.
Yep.
And I know for a fact there's a kid out there that's going through the same thing.
100.
They want to do music, they want to pursue a career, but their parents think otherwise. And they have that courage. They're trying to find that courage. What would be your advice to that kid if he was like sitting in front of you right now?
I think it'll be different in terms of the situation. For me, personally, if you have a really good relationship and that with your parents, just tell them straight up, man. Because there's no point in your parents and that saying, especially in our day and age, Togo, with everything, I guess, going on with our youth and whatnot, I guess just trying to find a form of communication in that with our parents. A lot of it, like for me, if your parents are at the point where it's like, you can open up to me about anything.
Yeah, true.
For me, you take advantage of that.
Yes, sir.
Because that's a time to sit your parents down and just be like, hey, mom, hey, dad, I want to do this. I don't know how, but I need your support.
Yes, sir.
It's different.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
I only say that Toko in the respects of I've taught kids who want to do music.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that it's not their choice not to do it.
Yes, sir.
For example, and I'll share this with you because it's
go for it.
I had a kid in that who I was teaching at La Salle. Shana, dumb man. Musically, he was mean. He could read. He could play solid. But decided to do science over at uni.
Yeah.
Space science, astrology, or whatever. He decided to do that, and there were drops of a conversation in terms of, you know, those parent-teacher interviews and that you have.
Yeah.
But there was no sparkle, bro. There was no go.
Yeah.
So I say, yeah. So in that sense, like, if your parents and that are honestly really supportive of you, like, don't go and like blast it in their face. You know, your parents and that obviously do heaps and stuff, but it's like, you know, it's just a matter of just sitting in down, drinking like a cup of tea time, like, you know, when there's nothing going on, and just sit down and talk to your parents, man.
Yeah.
Because that's all they need in this day and age now too.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
No.
You know, it's a matter of trying to create that space to be open, create that environment at home where you can feel heard.
Yeah.
And you know, and both for your parents and that as well.
Yeah.
Like, because I know that like especially being a parent myself, like the style of parenting and that is changing at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Bro.
Definitely, bro.
You know, we're not
man.
like, everyone talks about trying to break chains and that is, you know, as such. And I know bad habits do like die hard, but I know these parents and that, there are parents and that out there who are honestly trying, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I got a preteen and that myself, man. My oldest is 11. Shana Butter is trying, bro. Like, he's trying me. Like, you know, but I'm trying to meet him halfway with it. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the best that I can do. And just, I guess for me, like my parents, is to support my kids in what they want to do.
Yeah, bro.
Not to try and get this, like, not to try and to mold them or shape them to be something that they don't want to be.
Yeah.
But it's just sort of supporting them in what they want to do.
Yes, sir.
That's true right
That's
there,
it.
bro.
That's it, man. That's James, bro.
Today?
Hell yeah.
That was, yeah, bro. And it's just to touch on to that, bro. Like obviously the question was to give an advice for a young kid, but what you spilled, bro, was also for young parents, bro.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
that has kids, you know, and that has an open mind to it. So thanks for sharing that knowledge, brother.
I told you this was going to be a good one, man.
Yeah.
You also had, well, you probably have for a while, but your hand in theater, bro. You know,
Yeah, bro.
in
I've
that theater field, bro. What I don't want to mess it up, bro. How do you pronounce it? The Black Friars. What is it?
The Black Friars.
There we go.
Yeah.
The Black
Friars.
Friars.
The Black Friars.
Talk to us about that journey, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and with the crew, and even before that, like, you know, how did you? Because for some reason, you know, acting is in Polly's blood, especially, you know, with White Sunday and stuff like that.
We've been acting since we were born.
Talk to us about that journey, docs.
No, the Friars have been my creative hub for the last 12 years and that or so, man. I first saw them when I was about, when I was year 12 of uni. Our English classes went to go watch Othello Polynesia. Now, Othello Polynesia is a story, the OG Othello is a story about a black dude surrounded by white guys, paraphrasing. But the version in that they put on was a white guy, you know, in a Pacifica environment. You know, put it like that.
Yeah.
And I went to watch them, and some of the boys in there who were in it, shout out to the OGs of the Friars, to Pele, Lowy, Bills, and MJ. They sort of went to school with some of my other cousins and that, and they were sort of joking. They're like, "Oh, a couple of years, this guy's gonna be Friars and what not." Bro, and then what do you know? A couple of years, I think a couple of years outside of school. Got the first call up to Berlin, bro, and I hadn't sort of looked back since. Yeah. For me, especially, was taking or was having a musical perspective to it, because at the time they only had the one guy doing everything for music. And you know, now that there's like a team of them, there's like a handful of them. I've only recently sort of hung up my boots from the theater.
Oh yeah,
I did it last year.
Yeah,
we did a season of Dream, from Midsummer's Night Dream of Shakespeare, which polytwist in there too. And that was my dream, was my curtain call. Baby was born the week of our opening show. Like I was whispering to my wife, like when baby was still in the room, I was whispering to my wife, I was like, baby, I just need to hold on for a week to do my thing, and then I'm all yours after that. And then on the Thursday, brothers, on the Thursday that we opened, that morning, baby, my baby girl Frida was born. Yeah, bro. And then from there, I just decided to I decided to sort of give it a break for a bit, because a lot of it was love work, but there were there was heaps of time in that went into it too. And for me at the time, I knew my time was needed elsewhere. My baby girl was 2 weeks preemie, and so she a little bit of a rocky start to life, but I knew she needed the time and energy.
Oh, good.
In terms of the theater space in general, it's been dope. Like especially with the Thefriars, we've been trying to make drama, accessible for our Polynesian kids and that, man. Especially with, at the time we sort of growing up, we hardly got to see any Pacifica actors and that. And then sort of our times and that now you see Joe Naufahu, who obviously you guys had previously, you guys had Joe Naufahu on freaking Game of Thrones. You see Beulah Koale, Frankie Adams in there. All these major policies you see on screen, and that's me, man. And that's what we want to try and do in schools too. We want to try and make this drama curriculum accessible for our poly kids, so that they can hear their stories and that as well being told on our stage. A couple years back, we did a series called Southside Rise, and that was taking stories in that from our Southside kids and putting them in theater and stage. We put them all together and write up a script, write the music in that to it, and put it out on stage, which is me, man. And we did that for 3 years, obviously with all sort of recurring themes in that as well. But from that you see, I guess, how much of an avenue and a platform you get to make for these kids, and that who, like you guys were saying previously, in terms of like how do you tell these stories, or how do you tell your parents about what you want to do? And so we create these spaces and these platforms and that for our kids to do that. Because there's some real life stories in that. Like real life, like especially the first Southside Rise, like you see a story in that of a brother having to drop out to try and feed his family. Because there's not enough money in there coming in. You see the same thing in terms of like a sister who didn't make it all the way because she had to stay home and look after the nana, and that was the sort of full-time carer. You know what I mean? These stories and that are dudes and they're getting into the sort of drugs and all the gang life and stuff. They don't want it because there's always a brighter way in that out of it. There were stories that of kids sort of coming out, and first time telling their parents, like to the point where their parents are only finding out on the night. Like, it's providing those platforms and those spaces for our kids, especially our South Auckland kids, to speak. That's part of the stuff in that we do, or that we do as the Black Thefriars, and that space, and that has allowed me to be, man, real creative. Some of my best works happen in the theater. We're doing Macbeth, and that was my first sort of music director gig. And we created the soundscapes in that tour too. And I remember when I met my wife was like, "Oh, were you part of the show?" I was like, "Yeah, I did all the music in that tour." And there was a night, man, one of our pieces had a 5/4, and 5/4 is pretty hard to count, honestly. If you can't get the one right, then you've mucked up the whole thing. But there was a time after the intermission where the boys in there that I had, we couldn't get the 5, and it all sounded like 4, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, but it was meant to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, like that. But one of the boys came in and it just sounded like 4 and mucked it up, and we took like a good 5 minutes to try and get it right. And that was like the first and only time I've ever been angry. Like passive. I didn't get to sort of look at them the rest of the show. Bro. I was like, bro, like, yeah, all right then, all right.
Yeah,
man. But bro, learning heaps of learning, heaps of growing in that space, man. But I loved it, bro.
Yeah.
And I hope when baby's older, and I've got some time in that on my hands, and I can go back into that space, man. But yeah, it was mean. But because of that too, sorry, just to add on a bit.
No, go, bro.
Because of that too,
Okay,
we sort
hard.
of managed to get all the other community shows.
Yeah.
We were sort of doing all the holiday programs and sort of involved in that because of the music directing jobs, man. You know what I mean? So heaps of opportunities and there, heaps of spaces to grow, bro.
I tell you what, Docs, like what the likes of you and the other brothers and sisters that are paving the way, you guys are opening up more avenues for our poly kids, for and I know theater sports is another thing that's getting, it's even growing. It's getting, it was there in our high school days, but even these days it's growing, which is awesome because that's another path. It's creating another path for our younger generation to go through. And
say for me, everywhere I go, like they ask where I'm from, I always say South Auckland.
Yeah,
I don't generalize it. I don't broaden it. I say South Auckland, and then obviously the conversation will be like, "Oh, we're back to South Auckland." I say Mangere, but I think it's a South Auckland thing. Like I don't know if it's like maybe for you guys it's like West Auckland, Auckland. Like I think I've always grown up and held South Auckland so high that I'm real proud of where I come from. And so it's always been South Auckland for me. Like, bro, South Auckland was a super city way before Auckland was. You know what I mean? Like that's how it is. And that's buzzy. Like, bro, in Dubai on our last evening, there was a dude like out in the distance who was wearing a South Auckland t-shirt. Yeah. Like, and I think I'm not too sure where South he was. But that in itself was a testament to me in terms of like, bro, if this dude's out here doing whatever it is he's doing, everybody can do that stuff.
Yeah, bro.
And especially with all like the negative connotations in that about South Auckland and that and whatnot. Like, son, I'm always proud to be where I'm from, man.
Yes, sir.
And like, obviously, despite living outside the hood now, like, bro, I'm always gonna be like, bro, 7'5", you know. But bro, that's buzzy for me to hear all the way out from my team, bro.
You touched on earlier, Toko, on your gigs that you used to usually go around and do. The Beat Council on Saia Street, Sweatshop. How did that all come about, bro? Like, how did you get your feet into there, and even secure like weekly gigs, bro? Like, and from everybody I know, bro, that goes town, bro, on a Friday, bro, where are you going? Sweatshop every Friday night. So, tell me, bro, like, tell me how did that come about, and like, what is that experience like on a Friday night, bro, for you?
Bro, I think, bro, really lucky, Docs. Like, I honestly stumbled upon that opportunity. At the time, before I was at the shop, I was playing a residency with Loose Change. Shout out to the boys of the Republic out of Mannix.
Yo.
And during that time, because we were playing on a Friday, the Beat Council was also playing on a Friday. And our mentality was, bro, that's where we want to be. Do you know what I mean? That was our goal, to play that resident. But our resident was like 4 hours long, Shana. And we'd be lucky, honestly, to even get $40 out of it. Because we were paying for like gear, also gas and all that stuff. And when we divvied up whatever we had left, bro, like I said, we're lucky to come out $40. And then some of the boys would come. Shout out to Sam Allen. Shout outs to the jukebox as well. They'd come out to Republic beforehand, before they went out to town to go and play that gig. Anyway, the Beat Council, the original Beat Council, they started maybe 2011 or 2012. So they've been there for roughly about 10 years now. And I've been there for about 7 of those 10. It started off, bro, I used to get invited up for one song. Yeah. But because I sort of became a regular and I learned their set, man. Like that's how regular I was.
Take notes, kids. Take notes.
Straight up. And I used to go up for I used to go up for Could You Be Loved. So Could You Be Loved was my jam with the beat counter. Every time they played it, they invited me and I would get up, bro, it was me. And then some changes in the group. And they were looking for dudes in that to fill the gap, and I was one of them. I was fortunate enough to be one of them, and bro, I haven't looked back since, man. I've been playing at that spot every sort of Friday, and I joked to the boys, man. I joked to the beat council dudes. I was like, bro, I'm the face of this place, man. They always use me for the poster. And then one of the other boys, Nate, shout out to Nate.
Yeah, Nate Dowson.
Bro, Nate's now the new poster boy. They use them on the posters now.
Yeah.
He was like, bro, I cracked it. I was like, yo, what up, man?
Bro, he's looking good too, before that weight loss too.
Absolutely, bro. Shout out to the BMU.
Yes, sir.
Bro, but that was how I sort of got in. And then I guess we just grow like our music circle and our music community, man. We all used to go and hang out at the car park beforehand.
It's closed now, bro. I saw.
Bro, they're changes, dude. But they changed it. What happened, bro? This is an eat-ass, man. The security last week, bro. I was there for the first time in ages, early years, and then I forgot my in-ears. So I saw the security dude that he was closing the gate. I was like, bro, I'm gonna just run home and grab my ears real quick, and then I'll come back. I'm gonna park in here. And he was like, oh yeah, all good. Bro, I came back, the gate was locked. He was up at the top. I went through and I was like, I tried to do sup dog, I'm just coming in. I was like, oh sorry, bro, car park's closed. I was like, Shana, I just saw you 10 minutes ago. You said, yeah, all good. Bro, it's like, the man played I'm just doing my job. No. Yeah, all right, bro.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry. Back to my story. And I was talking about all the musical circles and that. When all the boys in there would get together in the car park, we'd always talk about getting gigs and being busy, bro. And I guess at the time, Switch Shop was the standard in terms of like, bro, residency, regular gigs in there every week. And I'd always used to tell the boys, I was like, bro, watch this, man. We're going to get busy and we're hardly going to hang out at the car park anymore. Like, and what do you know? Years and that down the line, all the boys in that sort of playing, like, bro, all different gigs. I had, shout out to T. Samau. He's the drummer for the Tone dudes.
Yeah,
for
Ministry of Tone.
MOE. Yeah. For MOT, sorry. Yeah. For Ministry of Tone. And they had their, they had a residency out in at Sky City and that at the time.
Yeah.
Wooly Fa'apito, shout out to Wooly Chops, also busy now. The man's drumming for Sons of Zion. There were all these. That was our come up, man. Yeah. Like and getting together at that time, that was when sort of everybody hung up. But we used to chop up like, bro, Longy. Shout out to Lonzo. Playing for Free HD. Vince Hada. Yeah. All these dudes in there and. That was always the dream for us was to always be busy. And so it's a blessing too when we all can catch up with the boys at that car park. Because we talk about that, man, and we acknowledge that. Like, bro, shout out to Golo Hansen, who's playing for like Arija. But the dude went from like, just playing all these sort of just little gigs in that here and there. The dude's now playing for Arija, one of the main producers for Feed Joint, shout out to Feed Joint too. That's it was main, man, and it was all because I guess bro, just wanting to be better and wanting to be busy, and just wanting to play, bro.
Yeah, that's me.
That's
awesome. Obviously you've been on stage every week. You want to go offset, bro? What's one funny story or one funny moment, bro, on stage that you can remember and you'll remember for the rest of your life? Anything, bro. Surely you see beautiful things.
You see the audience, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Bro, well, to be honest, you only get to see like maybe the first.
Oh yeah, true.
And I haven't seen it, but I've experienced this. There was one gig. I'm not lying. It was one gig. I showed up and I was so wasted that I walked off and I fell asleep on the side of the stage.
Oh no!
Now I introduced Nate to come and do a song.
Yeah,
he went up and I went to and I sort of snuck back to go and sort of watch him and I slept. I slipped, bro. And the funny thing was, the following year we played the same gig for the same client, and there's this old dude that came up to me. He was like, "Oh, you're the guy that slipped last year." And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." What? Bro, and then that next gig, it was mean. It was obviously bitter, but like I remember heaps of that stuff.
Yeah,
That's one
man.
funny story.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's funny, but it's something that I find funny. I was like, man, I don't know, just sort of can't handle that stuff.
Yo,
But I see, oh man, like not even a funny story, but I've even had a bra being thrown at me. It was mean.
Yo,
good size.
Yeah.
Nah, that's.
I still got it.
Oh,
Jack, I didn't have it.
Nah, that's awesome, bro. And like, shout out to all the boys from the Beat Council. Thank you for making the Friday nights memorable ones. There's probably everyone in Auckland, that hopefully are over 18, have got a story from Sweatshop. I've got a few, but I'll leave that in the in the archives.
Car park. Honestly, you think Sweatshop's got all the stories? The car park has all the stories, bro. The amount of stuff that goes through their car park, either before or after. That's where it's at, man. Like, that's the character building. Eh?
Yes. But that's like what you said before. It's amazing what we talk about the car park and all the stories that you and the boys talk. Even in the early days, now seeing that, and all the boys are now painting their own path. And you always have that time, probably not the car park, but somewhere else where you come together and be like, man, what are you up to now? What's happening now? And that's honestly, man, that's such a cool spot to be in. And again, shout out to the boys from the Beat Council. Everyone from the Beat Council, and shout outs for making our Fridays memorable. And if you haven't been to the to Sweatshop, because I know a lot of my friends here in Hawaii always ask what's the best live music. I'm like, then ask me that. Check out Sweatshop, man. Sale Street, Beat Council. One of
to the shop 10 to 12 every Friday night.
10 to 12 every Friday night. I like it too, because every time I go there, Saia's always got a drink for me. Let's go.
I got you, bro.
Music, being in the music industry is not always, it's not always good. You know what I mean? It's not always butterflies and everything, there are things where you go through in the music industry. And for you, you've been in the industry now for a bit, for a minute. And you're doing your time. You've done your time. You inspired so many people. You collabed with so many poly artists too. Was there ever a point where you felt at your lowest, where you're like, man, I don't know, man, like this music industry thing is getting into me? Like, was there ever a point where you're like, man, this is mentally challenging for me now? Like, was there ever a time in that in your career or being in the industry?
In the industry is being like you got to understand that our industry is pretty cutthroat, right?
Yeah.
And it's to the point where for us, it can be, bro, you can be replaced like easily.
Mm-hmm.
I've had quite a few of those moments, bro. Like, and I think for me too, especially doing this music stuff with especially my younger siblings and that now. And for me, it's really loto mawhana to see my siblings and that do what I do at the moment. There are some ugly parts in that, but it's just I'm not trying to swerve the question.
Nah, go for it.
I guess I'm just trying to explain a certain situation and certain characteristics in that. And I guess certain goings on in our industry. Like I said, when it's cutthroat, you can be easily replaced, no matter how well you think the relationship is going. Let me put it that way. You get to a point in that where you've built so much rapport in these relationships and that with particular artists that you think that you're gonna be the go-to. And for me, there was a point where I wasn't the go-to.
Mm.
And that was shattering for me, especially being in it as long as I have been. Like, Chana, I'm 30. Shit, I don't even know my own age. I'm 31. I'm 32 this year. And I've been doing this music thing since I was 15.
Yeah.
Right. And I had my first, or what I sort of call my first major gig when I was 15. So I always count it from there. And I think to see both sides of the industry is really, is a bit hard up, but you think that it wouldn't roll like that, but it does. And so the only loyalty you have is to yourself and to your team, or supposedly your team, or the dudes in that you keep close. I say that because my sister and that my younger sister, should I know what she's capable of, and I know that she's bro miles ahead in terms of what I do, but I'm still the main event, right? I just thought I'd put it out.
Let's get one thing straight, eh?
Yeah, hell yeah. But it's almost like there is stuff in that I've seen and been through that I don't want her to go through.
Oh.
But then for me, it's almost like, how would she learn that stuff?
Yes.
And it's almost as like, well, you've got to go through it yourself. But for me, it's almost like, nah, just don't even sort of go there and there. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the, like, a big thing for me is also the loyalty thing.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, I always appreciate sort of honesty
100.
when it comes into, because that's, bro, for some of us, that's our livelihood, man. That's money you're playing with.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And when you, I guess my motto and something that I always live by, especially doing gigs, is I make sure everybody eats.
Yep.
You know, that when one is up, we're all up. Like, I'm helping you, I'm coming to do this gig and that with you. I don't give a shit. I've always been about the love for this music stuff. I'll do a gig for free if I need to. You know what I mean? But the moment in that you stuff it up, I'm gonna let it slide the first time. You fuck it up the second, we're gonna have a problem. I mean, apologies for that. That's
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There you go.
But like I said, like you get to a point where you're honestly building the stuff and that with these artists, and then they leave you out in the dark, bro. Like, especially for me, you don't get as much props as you'd like. Yeah. And you're only seen as like the guy in the background, like nobody gives a shit about you. And that's so good. But the moment in that you can be like, hang on, you need me. And as a BV, I can say, bro, your music will sound shit without me. And the moment you sort of turn on that, like, it gets a little sort of fuzzy and gets a little gray. But the moment you can say, I'm actually worth that. Yeah. And they don't meet you halfway with it, that's all good. We're still gonna be boys. I'm not gonna work with you anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's where it sort of rolls. And I mean, it gets a lot sort of darker than that. Yeah. But I mean, in terms of my experiences in that, bro, like, it's like you can easily overcome them. But for me at the time, especially with the dudes in that I was working with, bro, it was pretty disheartening, eh? Yeah. Like to sort of turn you away from that stuff. But bro, I love the stuff, man, and I've loved what I've been doing for ages too, bro. And I wouldn't change it, man. Yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't change it. But just to know, you know, like you guys were saying, in terms of like creating this path and that for dudes and that on the come up, just to, I guess, just be there for them. Like I always tell the dudes and that I went to Dubai with, bro, if you guys need anything, man, you guys let me know. Like, 'cause that's how we roll. You guys need any vocals? Yeah. Need anything to do all of that stuff, bro? Just ask. Like, and we tell that to the team too. Like, all the boys and that in the car park, you guys need any gigs? You need a fill-in, bro? You let us know. Because that's who we reach out to. We just reach out to the boys. Like I said, like we're just trying to make everyone eat, man. Yes, sir. That's always the plan. And I know for these dudes too, like the dream is to always play music full time. Yeah. Always. But I know in our country, our industry is pretty small and it's not really sort of viable, you know? It's not practical. And so we do work these 9 to 5s, but when we do get these opportunities to play, you know, we're always sort of grateful for it, you know?
Man, I love that, bro. Thank you for that. Thank you for just sharing that. side because not I mean, not many people can can sit there and tell that side of the story. But when you've been through a lot, you've got something to say. You got something to say. If you've been through a lot, man, you have to say something. And there's one more question, bro. Within that subject. In what ways did you had to overcome that? Because you mentioned, and man, your sister's got a beautiful voice, bro.
Oh,
beautiful voice. In what ways? Because we don't want to do that, like what you said, just let her learn, or I'll let my little brother learn, or let my little sister learn. We kind of be like, nah, I didn't actually want you to learn what I went through. I actually want to tell you, don't go there. So, and you're now being the advocate almost. But what did you do? In what ways did you have to overcome those obstacles? Like, did you have your group of friends that you had to talk to? What did you do?
For me, Shana, it was as simple as just moving on from it, man.
Yeah.
Knowing that there will be more gigs in that coming out of it. I did have my moment, and it shattered me, man. Like I was broken over it.
Yeah.
But then it was just realizing, like that's all good. That's just another opportunity missed. Like you've always got to see the positive in that out of it, eh? Because when you sort of get into such a situation, you almost think like, oh, this stuff's not for me. Like in a sort of like, it doesn't encourage you in that to move on.
Yeah.
So what I've done, I've learned to just accept it, acknowledge it, and move. Because when you dwell on it too long, man, it eats at you, bro.
Yeah,
honestly eats at you, and it sort of puts you off from what you do. There's you've always got to see that there's always different opportunities in that are going to be elsewhere, that are going to come your way. And if there aren't, that's your sign to create your own opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, just because you've missed out on something doesn't mean it's the end of the world, bro. Like you've always got to keep moving, keep playing, and keep practicing for when that time comes, you're ready for it, man. And for me at that time, because I was young, I knew we had quite a few dates in that left in terms of like gigs and stuff. Like I knew we were pinned in that, and all I could do was just have my moment, bro, and just move on from it, because I had a good team in that. Shout out to DFMT when I was beaving with Tree, as well as Saia. I had sort of quite a few other sort of BV groups in that I worked alongside with, but especially working with those guys, man, like, and bro, we were just on a different buzz. Like, we just enjoyed it for what it was, man. And at that time too, we weren't working full time. We were just singing full time. But it's the people that you surround yourself with, especially those two, for me, that sort of kept it going. Like, and had I not sort of worked with them, there's a lot of situations in that didn't sort of happen with them. But when I was surrounding myself with them, they were always positive, always saw the light in that, these dark situations and stuff. It was always good. So surround yourself with a good team who will encourage you in that as well, who are just like-minded or just as hungry as you are.
Yes, sir.
Because like I said, we're all going to eat. And if we're not going to eat at that table, it's all good. We got our own table. Let us eat here. Know what I mean? Always like that, man. It's always trying to find the positives in that out of those situations, bro.
Sticker, bro. Thanks, man. That's me, bro. We've got a few more questions, bro, before we head into our quick fire questions, bro. But thank you for sharing those dreams, bro. It's like, I'm on the other side of the wall with sports and whatnot. But what you're sharing, bro, it fits right in with young athletes and whatnot. So thanks for sharing on that, bro. What's next for yourself, Toko? What's next for yourself?
Oh, bro, for me, in terms of something I'm trying to write a Tongan musical. Like the goal for me, especially during this parental leave, is to start the opening number. I've been trying to sort of work on something in that for ages, man. I guess I just never had the time to just work on my own stuff, you know. But I'm trying to write a Tongan musical, especially like while my dad's still alive. My dad's sort of getting a bit fragile in that at the moment, but I know the dude's got all the stories, eh? The dude's got all the stories, and so I'm just trying to. There's a particular story that I've been interested in for the last couple of years that I'm trying to write about, and I'm just treading water, bro. That's one of the main ones. But other than that, bro, nothing too hard out. Just besides just the gigs. Like I said, the summer circuit and that's been moved. So we're hoping to try and get back on the road and that sometime soon. Obviously, we'll fall in red light. We can't gig at the shop until we back at Orange. Yeah, bro, and just family, man. The plan is just to wait until my Frida's one, and then we'll sort of move from there. So I think just as far as me, Jenna, like in terms of your question, in terms of what's next, that's all that's next for the first.
That's been, bro. Love it, Toko. Just our last question, bro, before we get into our quick fire. If you could tell 15-year-old Saia Folau something, advice, whatever it may be, bro, what would it be?
Bro, do it.
Yo.
Just do it.
Yo,
don't think. Don't ask. Just do it.
Just don't think about it. Just do it.
Yeah, man, like... I sort of think back to... Honestly, that's like... Bro, I think about that, bro, and every time I talk to my wife, man, like I always talk like that stuff, eh? Like I was thinking, like, man, if I had known what I know now, you know, back then, I was coming through to it, like, and to be honest, it would have changed. I could have done the artist thing, and that would have been different. But like for me, it's just, yeah, bro. If I went back, I'd tell. I think at that point in my time, there was a lot of decision making.
Yeah.
And I say that because when you're at that age at school, you know, when you're junior school, that's almost like the definitive times in your lives. When you're year 9, you sort of roll around in terms of your options. When you're year 10, you sort of start figuring that out. But when you're year 11 and going into NCEA, the expectation is for you to have your pathway automatically sussed so you can take those subjects there. And so that's why I say it's definitive.
Yeah.
So when you're at that point, you sort of you think you know what you want, but you don't. For me, I was the don't. Like I don't know what I want to do. To be honest, I wanted to do something musically. I didn't know what I was going to do. But in my mind, it was almost like I think about it now. I was like, bro, just do it. Like, and if that doesn't work, do something else. Do something else. And I think that was the luxury for me, was because it was always music, right? And so it was like, if the stage doesn't work, do the classroom. Classroom doesn't work, do the audio engineering stuff. That stuff doesn't work, be a ghostwriter. That stuff doesn't work, bro, school music. There's heaps of stuff that we can do musically. It's just a matter of what you want to do. I mean,
bro.
Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's as simple as that. Just do it.
Oh, yeah.
Just do it. Show my toko. We're going to move on to our quick fire question. We do these 5 questions. Well, the last question is always the same with all our guests. And they brought a pretty good list, but I'm counting on your one. I know your list is going to be good on this last question. All right. So we got 5 quick fire questions, ladies and gentlemen. Saia Folau. Quick fire. So first one, your top 3. I know this is going to be a tough one. Well, it might be. Your top 3 poly artists.
What, like mainstream and underground, or just mainstream in general?
Let's go mainstream. For our
mainstream.
audience, let's go mainstream.
Oh yeah. In no particular order.
No particular order.
No particular.
For number 1 will be Eddie Dino. If you guys ever listen to stuff like that, that is me. Etu would be one of them. Finn the Groover will be my second one.
Yes.
Yeah. Finn the Groover. And number 3 will probably be Swiss. Yeah, Swiss will be my top 3 police.
Mr. Slow Wine himself. Can't wait to have you on, Toko. All right. He's pending right now. All right. Number 2. What's one album that's always on replay? One album.
Confrontation. Bob Marley, 1983 drop. That album has been heavy rotation because that's what my daughter sleeps to.
Oh,
Yeah.
My daughter doesn't. Oh well, sort of like earlier on when she was born, she'd fall asleep to the first 2 songs. So the first song is Rastaman Chant, and then the next one is Buffalo Soldier. So she'll usually fall asleep to either of, and if not, it'll bleed into Jump Naya Bingi, which is track number 3.
Yeah.
But now that she's a little bit older, we're falling sort of 6 songs deep now. Confrontation has been my rotation since my baby was born, bro.
There we go. There we go. All right. Your third question is gonna be a good one. Out of these 3 people, all right. Out of these 3 people, Matt Jukebox himself, Matt, Ross, and AJ from Brotherhood. Shout out to the boys from Brotherhood Music. Out of those 3, you're stuck on an island. Who do you think out of those 3 could help you survive on that island?
And why?
AJ. AJ at the top of it.
Oh, no.
Why, bro? Why? Can you let us know why, bro?
Nah, here's what I say, AJ. Bro, if you ever get a chance to hang with the dude,
Yes, sir.
the dude is such a good buzz.
Yeah.
To the point that if it were for us, if we were dying, we'd have a good time dying. I'm not in line.
Yeah.
I'm not in line. Like, the dude's the man. Like, his personality is so massive, bro. Like, he's just a buzz to be around, bro.
Yeah.
And if we're to do anything, try to survive. However, if we needed a signal, so it's gonna be him that's gonna die. If we needed a fire, it's gonna be him that's gonna make the fire. He's solid. Like, shout out to Rob and the jukebox. AJ's my choice.
Or it's funny, we had Ross last week, and he chose Matt.
And what did he say about Matt?
Matt say,
what's his reason behind it?
I think Matt's just funny. I think that was it.
Nah, AJ's a buzz, man. Like, I've known him, or I've gotten to know him, the last year and a bit, bro. But he's just a buzz to be around, bro.
Yeah.
That's funny. When Brotherhood, I was performing sometimes, and you can see Harry getting pissed off at AJ sometimes.
It happens all the time, bro. It happens all the time.
You can tell Harry's face is like, so what don't eat this guy's doing. All right, your 4th question, Docs. Your South Auckland hard. For those that have never been to South Auckland, okay?
Yeah.
What's the best takeaway or bakery in South Auckland?
Takeaways are different. It depends on what you want. In terms of Chinese food,
Chinese, yeah.
ID Dub, bro.
ID Dub,
Idlewild, Choice Food. I think it's 2560600, whatever it is.
Yes,
I think it's
sir.
the number. Don't quote me. No. Don't quote me. No. It's the number for my doctors.
I want to put the number down here.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. For Chinese food, I'd go there.
Yep.
I'd go there for actual fish and chips.
Yep.
I'd go up to the airport takeaways up on Massey Road next to the Mobile.
Yep.
And then for chicken nibbles, one of 2 places. You can go to Dragon Horse and Onehanga for curry chicken nibbles, or the chicken nibbles up here at 562 on Surrey Crest.
Everyone taking note of that.
Please.
All right.
In terms of bakeries,
bro,
bakery. everybody's been different, bro. Like, for me is the Mangere Central Bakehouse, the one that's at the back of the Mobile. Shout out to them, because they usually open at like about 3 a.m.
Early.
Bro, I'll tell you, I was vegetarian for like 3.5 years.
Yo.
And the one thing that I missed the most was the first steak and cheese after a solid night out.
Oh.
So you know the feed just before you sleep?
Yeah, bro.
That steak and cheese and a cheese and bacon roll and a chicken roll from that bakery, G, you'll be sus.
Oh.
Who's that?
Quite a few spots. But my local at the moment is Golden Kit, just around, or just down the road, just a little bit more in Richmond. Shout out to Busy Oven though, which is up the street. They're the ones with the cream breads.
Yo.
They do the cream breads and the steak and cheese, but Golden Kit's my buzz in that down here, bro.
If you're ever stuck in South Auckland, Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever stuck looking for dinner, breakfast, lunch, at Saia Folau, message him. At Saia Folau, message him,
bro,
and he will get back to you.
Like every time I'm sort of out somewhere,
I
always try and message like a dude in that who's like either diehard where they're from, and be like, bro, where's a place in that to eat out here?
Yeah.
I do it all the time. And then get the scene and then just McDonald's. All good. But in context, though, and saying like all those takeaways in that, majority of those takeaways in that are out south. Except for 562's up here, in Greyland. But the bakery's out south was the Manga Essential Bakery, which is the one at the back of the mobile. And then the other two bakeries in there are out over here in Central. So if you're out south, those are the places. Man, I'll tell you, I did an interview a couple of years ago. I wanted to go to Japan and teach English. Yeah. And I went for an interview and they asked me, you know, here's this. They put in a situation. There's a high-ranking Japanese guy who's gonna come to New Zealand. Where's the first place you'll take him? And I told him straight up, without a lie. I was like, "Oh, the bakery near my parents' house." Yeah. I was like, if there's anything that's gonna win this guy over, it's gonna be a steak and cheese pie.
Oh, yo, 100.
Bro, like, but that's how diehard I am.
Yeah.
I told him, bro, I'm not gonna go and try and take this guy out straight away, G. This guy, bro,
you don't want to take him to Fortuna?
I'm not about that life, bro. I was like, welcome to the gateway to Auckland, bro. Come and have a steak and cheese pie. Come and mingle with the locals, you change. What you talking about?
Let's go.
That's it,
bro. Yes, sir. All right, here's your last question, my toko. And again, we've asked this question to all of our guests. So, top 5, your top 5 dinner guest could be, you know, someone that have passed on or someone that's still living. Celebrity, anyone,
anybody, bro.
Family members. So your top 5 dinner guests for one night only. You get to sit down with that, there's 5 people around one table, and me and Atu here will serve you guys.
Yeah, bro. We're cooking that night.
So who's your top 5?
Oh man, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think number 1 would be my wife.
Yes, sir.
Just so I can share that moment and that with her.
Yep.
Should I like to chop it up with both my paternal grandparents? I haven't had the chance to meet them. My granddad died sort of a year before I was born, and my nana died, and I didn't get the chance to meet them. So that's 3. I was gonna say, bro, AJ so can come and tell us, bro. Actually, number 4 will be Willie Fapito.
Yo,
Willie Fapito's the drummer.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to chop it up with Chops, he's the man.
Yeah,
he'll tell you a mean stories. Shout out to Chops. I don't know who the 5th one would be, bro. It's a little bit of a hard one, but like I'm trying to take the question as serious as possible.
Take your time, take your time.
Your time, bro.
Oh yeah, and probably my wife's Nana Ray. I didn't get a chance to meet her, bro. That's my top 5. So my paternal grandparents, my paternal grandparents, Willie Chops, my wife's Nana, and my wife.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Top 5, Saia Folau. Brother, we do want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me,
sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience, not only in your music career, but even just life experiences. We thank you for giving up your evening. Hopefully, baby will sleep throughout the first 2 tracks.
She's good, bro. She's gone.
Yo. But we do want to honor you and thank you so much for giving back, not only to the young generation, but in different communities. We see your work, we see what you're doing. Thank you for always giving us a good night on Friday nights and continuing to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, Saia Folau, it's your boy Sefa. It's your toko atu Sayless podcast. We out.
People in this place get out of control, cause unity and harmony is just the way you do go. Everybody, do what you do.